Welcome to the Road to Retirement. I'm your co host, Tony Shore, and I'm here with our host today. The man with the plan is Zach Padden. Is it Chris Anselmo? No. Is it Anthony Marlette Jr.? Thank the Lord, no. We're all happy. Anthony's getting a little break, but we have Zach Padden as our host today. Zach, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Um, our Is Chris Anselmo even in the office today? That's what I'm going to ask.
It's a little early for him to be here, but,
Well,
there's
but
still
he's not
plenty of
traveling.
time.
But he's not
He's not
traveling.
traveling yet. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, if I was him, I'd be out of Cleveland as quick as I can this winter.
Yeah, in the winter, it would be the time to travel, but he did a lot of traveling over the holidays, so I think he's around. But Zach, I'm glad you're taking a turn at this and doing the show with me. We always have fun. You've been on the show before, so this
Yeah,
is
it's the first
great.
time it's just you and me. We're gonna have some fun today.
Yeah, we are. What is our topic for today?
This year, we're gonna talk about some New Year's resolutions. I mean, everybody talks about wanting to get healthy and go to the gym, and that lasts 2 weeks, but now we're to the point where we gotta think about our financial New Year's resolutions.
Financial New Year's resolutions, great. Well, it's funny you should mention the going to the gym thing. I just read, and it's a real thing. There's an actual day called Quitter's Day. Did you know? Have you heard of this?
I have not heard of Quitter's Day.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's always the second Friday in January. This year, I believe it's the 10th, January 10th. In fact, it's we're recording this on the 9th. So tomorrow is Quitter's Day, and surveys and studies show that people who make New Year's resolutions typically do things like I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to stop eating sweets, or I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to diet. And those types of resolutions typically, uh, almost a majority of people, almost half of the people that make those don't make it past the second Friday in January. So they call January 10th Quitters Day. I don't want to be a quitter, although every year I say I'm going to eat less pizza, Zach, and every year no,
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
pizza's healthy. It's just
Eh,
cheese and sauce and bread. I mean, it's
Yeah, actually, you can
healthy-ish.
say that even. There's even a better way. I tell pizza has vegetables. It has grains, it has dairy. I mean, those are we're talking about the 4 basic food groups here. And really tomato kind of a fruit, so, you've got it all. I mean,
It's
really, it's
it's
a
a perfect well-balanced meal. There you go.
I like to think of it as a slice of health, Zach.
Yeah, tell your doctor that one, they'll
Yeah.
love that.
Oh, my doctor loves me. He comes in, "Have you been exercising?" And I say, "Not since the Carter administration. Is that a problem?" So anyway, yeah, I make resolutions like that, but I have been last year I did do better, a little better with eating. I have been eating less and I'm going to continue that. Um, I'm refraining from alcohol. So I've been doing pretty good with that. Zach looks surprised. Don't look
Uh,
so shocked at that, Zach.
well, after the holidays, you get used to seeing people, eat a little more, drink a little
Uh-huh.
more. It's easy to get out of the rhythm of your normal life, and it's hard to get back into that style.
It is. And with our finances too, right? You spend so much during the holidays, right?
Yeah, you're traveling more, you're buying gifts for people. There's always something else going on, whether it's white elephants, you're getting together with friends and family. And then comes the new year, and it's time to pull the reins back in a little bit here and
Yeah.
start figuring out how you're going to save to retire one day because nobody wants to be working their entire life.
Yeah. So let's dig into it. We're talking about financial New Year's resolutions, Zach. What's one thing? What's one resolution you'd recommend out there for our listeners regarding their finances for the new year?
I feel like the first thing I would do is set a budget. So many people say, I'm going to make a budget, and then they follow that for a couple weeks. And then on Quitter's Day, they cut that out because they want to go out
Right.
to dinner, or they want to go spend on some
Sure.
trip.
Sure.
So I think setting aside a budget where you implement a savings plan with that. Because so many people today are just living paycheck to paycheck and not thinking about their long-term goals. So all of us don't want to do this forever. We all don't want to be working when we're 70s, 80s, 90s. You want to be able to set aside that money so you can retire. And the first step of that is setting aside a budget so you can plan for retirement.
Right. That's huge. So, and a lot of people don't like, you used a dirty word there, the B word, budget. And a lot of people, that's one thing they put off, or they cringe. Oh, I don't want to have to do a budget. And I think a lot of times that's probably because they don't want to know what they're spending, and they don't want to face reality. And we're all guilty of that. But if you think of it maybe as a spending plan, like, what can I spend? And how much should I save? Saving is a positive. Save Putting money away for the future is a positive. You want to be able to live life later, have enough money to live comfortably, even when the cost of living goes up. So that means you save. And if you have a spending plan, you're just saying, hey, where can I save money in my spending? Oh, wow, I'm spending this much here. I don't have to spend that much there. I want to spend more over here. So budgeting can help you. I know that when my wife and I sit down and do a budget at least once a month, we are both happier, our relationship is better, we do better. So it's a good feeling once you're done. You grumble going into it. It's never fun sitting there talking about finances, but once you're done with it, it's like, oh wow, and I feel so much better, and it relieves so much stress. So I'm glad, Zach, you brought up budgeting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people would, you're right, think of it as a dirty term because they are scared to see what their takeout budget is or what
Right.
their streaming services cost them every month. I mean, all these little things add up. I mean, these
Yeah.
$10 here, $10 there make a lot more of a difference than people realize. And putting a couple $100 away a month, if you can do that, I mean, it's going to compound. And by the time you retire, that little bit's going to turn into a lot. So
Yeah.
stay away from the Chipotle, DoorDash orders and stuff like that as much as you can.
Oh man, DoorDash will get you.
Oh, because
I
you're
mean
paying the extra fees.
yeah. Yeah, my youngest daughter, we noticed she was putting DoorDash charges on our car, and we're like, "No, you have a vehicle, that we paid for, actually, her grandfather got for her," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's we pay the insurance on it, you didn't pay anything for the vehicle, get in it, drive to the the store, buy groceries, go home, make yourself something." So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, that's a lesson that people need to learn, and, we've all been guilty of overspending in certain areas. I buy records, so if I look at my budget and see what I'm actually spending on records, that's why we avoid looking at our budget.
Yeah.
It's to
There's
see
certain
how much.
things you don't wanna know.
But it's important to know, because that'll keep you honest, and that's some accountability. So that's a good one. Creating a spending plan, and then you worked in, really, you talked about two there, having a budget, but also saving more. Right,
Yeah, I
that's a
mean,
big one.
saving more is huge because in today's market, we don't know what the future holds, but you can't start a financial plan if you're not saving any money. If
Right.
you're just living and having nothing going towards your retirement, towards savings, you're not planning for that "oh, no" moment in the future.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to take care of a emergency if something happens. And usually it's to have like a nice emergency fund or a savings account set aside that if you lose your job, if the roof needs replaced, you have money set aside that you're not scrambling.
Yeah. That's so true. So what's another, New Year's resolution?
I mean, one thing I think people should do is meet with their advisor. And if you don't have an advisor, you should try to find one because, contrary to popular belief, letting your money just sit in a savings account isn't that good. You
Hmm.
shouldn't just have all your money sitting there because it's getting you what 0.00001% interest.
Yeah.
When yeah, you do need some in that emergency fund, but you shouldn't have a big excess there when that money could be growing. You can convert to a Roth IRA. You can do all these different tools that the financial advisors will help you with. And that's something that we're preaching to people is you got to start planning for this retirement younger. You don't want to be coming in at 45, 50 saying, I've done nothing. How can I retire in 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. That is
Yeah.
tough. In fact, I wish I had started earlier, you know? If somebody when I was 21 told me, "Hey, with this new full-time job out of college, you've gotta be putting money into your 401k, and you've gotta be putting enough in to get the full match." I wasn't like, my first couple jobs, I didn't even contribute to a 401k,
Yeah.
and that is the worst mistake you can make.
And I mean, what you brought up is the match. I mean, it's
Yeah.
free money from your employer that's going to go into this account as long as you put in the same amount. So if your company says they'll match 3 or 4% and you're not putting 3 or 4% in, then you really got to reevaluate your plan because you're just throwing away money at that point.
Yeah, and that's something working with a financial advisor, you help people do and understand, but also working with a financial advisor like yourselves there, you cover all the areas, estate planning, taxes, financial income planning, investments,
Hmm.
retirement accounts like IRAs, Roths. It all ties together, even healthcare, and as you get older, planning for retirement income, that's a huge part of what you do is help people plan for income in retirement. So if you don't have a written plan in place for that and how you're going to get there, you need to work with a financial professional who can help you allocate your assets properly as you go, so it grows and you have a successful plan and retirement, right?
Yeah. And so many people, like you said, don't know how this is going to help them. They say, okay, I'm saving all this money. Now what? I'm retired. How do I get this money out? How do I set aside so much? I need this much per month.
Yeah. Do
Everybody
I
always
just
just
leave it
hears,
all in the stock market and just take money out every month?
yeah,
And that's not that's not a good way to just go about it. And I think a lot of people end up doing that. They end up with a lump sum and they've gotten into that savings mode. By the time they retire, hopefully they're good at accumulation. They've been good at savings. They've put money into a 401k or an IRA or both, hopefully, and then when they retire, they've got these lump sums and say, okay, now I'm just going to live in retirement off that. But how do you turn that lump sum into an income and make sure that when the stock market has a year like it did in 2022 or 2008 or 2001, uh, you're not, your account goes way down and you're pulling out, then you're not going to last. Your money is going to deplete so fast. But working with a financial advisor can help you come up with a plan, so that doesn't happen. Correct?
yeah. So a lot of people come in when you're younger, you're going to be more risky. You're
Yeah.
going to take on a lot more risk to help grow this money. But the closer you get to retirement, the safer you want to be. You don't want a 2022 or 2008 to then say, okay, great, my retirement account cut in half. I now can't retire for another 15 years. You don't want that. You've worked so hard. So over time, your plan will adjust. Just because when you're early in life, you're going to invest in a little more aggressive stocks. By the time you're retired, you're probably going to be in safer vehicles so that your money's well more protected. So without having a financial advisor, you're never going to figure that out. I mean, if you and
Right.
I just try to do this ourselves on the side and we have no financial literacy, best of luck.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's true. And I think a lot of people don't have the knowledge. A lot of people think, oh, I'll DIY it or look something up online. But everybody's situation is different, and there's so many moving parts. And you might think, oh, I work with somebody who's really good in the stock market, or I talked to this insurance guy. But you want a financial advisor who's a fiduciary who's looking at the big picture and can deal with all of those areas, right?
Yeah. It's like I consider it like going to the doctor. I don't go into my doctor and say, this is what I want. I ask them, what should I be doing? Or they're telling
Right.
me, and I'm
Right.
taking their recommendations. You shouldn't be coming in saying, I only want to do this. You should be listening to somebody's plan for you. So if you're meeting with Tony or Chris at our office or Jeff, you should be saying, like, okay, like what plan works for me? How is this going to help me achieve my retirement goals?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
big thing. You want to make sure your retirement's what you want. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to spend time with family. You don't want to be sitting there at home because you didn't save enough.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to have to worry about money in retirement. That just causes a lot of stress. It can even affect your health. So, if you have a plan in place, then you can sleep well at night. The market will go up and down. You sleep well knowing, "Hey, nope, we've got a plan. It covers this, no problem." Right? That's what
Yeah,
it's all about.
you're right. It's a lot easier than people think. It just takes an appointment and understanding what your goals and wishes are.
Yeah.
And that's something
Yeah.
they'll talk to you about. It's like, well, what's your goal? When do you want to retire? What do you want your retirement to look like? If you just want to sit outside and drink some beers on your front porch, then you're gonna need a lot less income than if you're wanting to travel the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. Now,
Uh-oh, we got a guest visitor in the house.
uh-oh. Uh-oh. Who's
Hey, how
there?
you doing?
Oh, man. Look
Go
at what the
Vikings.
Go Vikings. Yeah, exactly. Chris Anselmo makes a guest appearance. I love it.
He sneaks by the office and just comes right on in.
I love that. Well, he's the boss. He can do what he wants.
He's the man with the plan around here. I mean,
Yeah.
he was really smart putting all these companies together. I mean, we've talked
Oh,
about it many times on this
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pain to go to multiple different people, and then you have all these different people you're meeting with.
Yeah.
It's easy just to rely on one place. You come in, we do your estate plan, we'll do your taxes, we do your financial planning, and then we're
And
all communicating. You're working under one roof.
yeah, and rarely do you find someone like Chris who's a tax professional and an estate planning attorney and a financial advisor, and he's got a great team like you and Anthony and the rest of the team there. You've put together a great staff, and I'll tell you what, yeah, when I have a question that's a complicated question about my parents, the estate, the farm my
Mhm.
dad inherited, my first call is Chris and Brookside Tax and Financial, and I call Chris and say, "Chris, what's the situation?" And he knows. I mean, he's worked with so many people. But he doesn't just give you a flat, cookie cutter answer. He's like, explain the situation. What's the overall situation? He asks questions back, and that's what you guys do. And I think that's great. That's why that's such an important financial resolution for this year for people out there. Have a plan, work with a professional. And Zach, I know this is what you help people and you help your clients with every day. People can give you a call, Zach, and you can help them out with this. Now, what's another financial New Year's resolution that people should be thinking about?
I feel like the final one that I would give people is to still spend your money. Like, I'm not saying go out there and be lavish, but like, don't let all this scare you into stopping to living your life.
Yeah.
You still got to live your life and do what you want to do and have fun. But
Yes.
with your budget or your spending plan,
Yeah.
we're going to set aside some money for that every month so that you are still enjoying yourself. You don't want it to be that you're just work, 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 and no play.
Sure.
So, as much as we're stressing, you need to save and invest and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Still enjoy your life. Take the time to smell the roses and have a good time.
There you go. In fact, here's to the new year. How about that?
That's
Boom.
pretty good.
Boom. Starting off 2025. Little few sound effects there to wrap up the show. What do you think, Zach?
I think it was a pretty good episode today. And
Yeah,
I think if you take one thing away from us today, sit down with a financial advisor. They can help you set up a plan that's good for you no matter what your age is, whether you're just starting out or you're nearing retirement. It's a good time to meet with an advisor.
there you go. Well, Zach, great show today. And the listeners, before we go though, Zach, let our listeners know how they can set up a consultation with you.
Yeah. So if you want to set up a consultation with anybody at our office, you can either give us a call at 216-485-1040, or you can call our Brookside tax line at 440-886-3550. Or you
All
can
right.
find our web pages at www.anselmolaw.com or brooksidetax.com.
All right. BrooksideTax.com and Zach Padden, folks. Thank you, Zach. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of The Road to Retirement.